So Eric, on behalf of the WBP community, we really want to thank you because without your long-time support, we would not be now at Rosa Parks where we're breaking all kinds of records in terms of test scores. It's the most diverse school in the city with Arab kids, Muslim kids, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, white kids even. And then I also, on behalf of the women's community, really thank you for your vote. And you know, Ross Mirkarimi was a personal friend. He was a good supervisor. He supported Japantown. As a father, not so great. As a spouse, not so great. And in my opinion, as sheriff, not so great. And I think some of those people who came up to the microphone and booed and hissed people like Beverly Upton, who's the executive director of the Domestic Violence Consortium, were some of your supporters. And when you went up to vote, you really stood up to the bullying, the harassment that was going on, but you lost a chunk of your base supporters. And so I just wanted to let you know that in the women's community, we recognize how courageous you were in making that vote and want to thank you. My final question is, you know, can you talk a little bit about the independent expenditures that are flowing to your opponent's campaign and why it's so important for everyone in this room to write a big check to you?
Right. Actually, let me just think about this. I think as a man, I always, on issues like on domestic violence, I always try to listen to the victim's voice, and different groups that have worked on the issues for years, though some will frame it around different ways, but that's always, or if it's a domestic workers issue, I listen to workers on how they're being treated by their employers. But I think on the domestic violence issues and the sheriff, that was really a critical, important way for me as I process the information. I did lose a lot of supporters. There are some people that will never talk to me again or kind of blame me for a lot of the attacks on different quote-unquote progressive people around the city, but I feel really good. I could sleep at night because I voted the right way. There were tremendous pressures to people pretty much canceling fundraisers or saying I'm never gonna, just basic threats, but I feel like I could sleep at night and I voted in a principled way like I always try to do. The big business PACs, or their super PACs, there's one called the Alliance for Jobs and Sustainable Growth that's mostly the big Chamber of Commerce and the BOMA, it's the Business Owners and Managers Association, but it's the property owners of the biggest buildings from Transamerica Pyramid to the biggest ones in the city. The SF Association of Realtors that's pumped in $250,000. A lot of their members are angry about it because their current leadership is doing that, but it's I think some of them are really anti-rent control in the city, or they feel that the board is not sensitive to bigger developers and real estate interests. The other one is the Police Officers Association that I supported kind of an effort, was called the SF8 years ago because torture was used to elicit evidence, and I felt that that was really unconstitutional, but I'm being slammed as wanting to send out criminals onto the street by votes, but they're using that hack to say I'm soft on crime. But I strongly support community policing and have always been supportive of especially merchant watch and neighborhood watch programs. So I always try to bring everyone together to create safer communities, but not necessarily a hard crackdown on crime approach that some of the POA leadership want. But I think it's the biggest property owners in the city and it's the Association of Realtors that are the main kind of culprits in throwing so much money in. I think we're going to show them in the next 10 days that we have a really united front of many different community-based groups, small businesses, and many others that are hitting the streets and really not letting their messaging kind of get through to people. We're sending our strong message that I'm the only candidate endorsed by the Democratic Party that it's not only environmentalists, but it's most of the affordable housing community and tenant rights groups, and just a huge range of the Chinese community that is supportive of me. So we're countering everything that they're doing, but we're having to do it with a fraction of the resources that they have. So a lot of your support will really help. But it's really hard to fight against a negative campaign that's just throwing mud at you day after day with mail and push polls, or it's the kind of polls that you get on the phone and many other things. But we're countering with a grassroots campaign. That's why we need you to sign up or to tell other people about the campaign.
Do you know what percentage in San Francisco is absentee ballots?
I've heard it's about 40% of people usually cast their votes absentee. The Chinese community is much higher, so we've targeted really early and worked with many of the Chinese community already. But we're sensing that in a presidential race like this one, it'll be much higher than 40%. So we put a lot of our resources early on once the absentees were mailed out in the second week of October. So we've been strategic with our meager resources. But a lot of people will cast absentee ballots, and we encourage people, if you have them, to turn them in right away. I think the deadline's passed to request an absentee ballot. It might be the 30th.
Yeah.
The 30th, thanks. So Alia Al-Sharif is one of our great volunteers in the campaign, if anybody has questions.
Any other questions?
I just want to remind you, it was several years ago, but there was I don't remember his name, but another wealthy candidate that lost badly in Richmond against whoever was running at the time. So money is not always what's going to win.
Yeah, yes. But thank you so much. I'll be around for a while too. It's campaigning season is at its peak, so I'm going to, Myrna's going to love this. I'm going to be at Peabody coming up in an hour, and then there's a bunch of things at Bazaar Cafe. There's a Kung Fu studio I got to get to. The Four-Star Theater, so I've been a strong supporter of keeping our neighborhood theaters, not just here, but throughout the city. So the Four-Star has a Chinese film festival, so we're honoring some directors. And John Jang, one of my friends who's with Asian Improv Arts, with Francis Wong, who's a parent from JBVP and other programs, but they're doing this important event at Yoshi's tomorrow night at 7. Please join us, but I'll be narrating this piece on Sun Yat-sen, the father of the Chinese Republic against feudalism and for democracy in China. But that's a lot of different things I'm doing. I'm on the run. We did a great merchant walk on Clement Street with a lion dance group. We feel that there's really strong support right now, but we still need your help and support too.